Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So I want to give you a heads up. The prices of Mastercrafting gear that has just been released with Module 26 will be reducing drastically. Most notably, those of you who are wizards and want to be getting that scintillant amulet plus your scintillant sash for pretty much the best damage dealing set you can get on a wizard at the moment because of the stats it can give you and the sheer amount of intelligence. This will be coming at least half as expensive. So instead of it selling for over 5 million, you'll probably be able to buy it for 2 million, maybe a bit less. That is good news for us consumers, but potentially bad news for those of you who are making profits from Mastercrafting. Now, this all comes with the news from Brett Norton. As a heads up, a warning that this is going to happen so that you might not get screwed over. Those of you who have already invested and spent that much, well, you're getting some notice now. And that's just the way things are. Usually, if you want something as soon as possible, it's usually more expensive than later on. We all could have just waited. But ultimately, we can see the main change here is that the soul bead recipe will be reducing from 12 Fallen Gods ore down to just 6. This was the main thing that made everything in Mastercrafting super expensive because you needed like a whopping 12 of them for a soul bead. And you needed soul beads for a lot of things, like 3 of them for this amulet. You needed a freaking whopping 4 of them for the cleric's symbol. You needed 2 of them for the cleric's icon, and thus it was the most expensive Mastercraft weapon set there was. And this is being reduced by a half, along with then the soul bead costs to create them being reduced by a half. Fallen Gods ore drops from the Master Demon web pits, the bosses, and this is the big thing that was keeping everything expensive because you need people to run that dungeon to get these drops, and as less and less people run the dungeon, the more expensive this gets. It's still at like 120,000, although I remember this selling for well over 200,000 at the beginning. Prices are always really expensive at the beginning until they settle, but we can expect Fallen Gods ore to stay about the same. That's good for the dungeon, but again, via this, the soul bead cost being reduced by a half means everything else you create is reduced by a half that needs those soul beads because it'll be far cheaper to make them. So yeah, the market's going to have to adjust by that, and I guess, yeah, wizards can look forward to this set being a bit more accessible. I might then even pick it up for myself. I know I use it in my min-max build and it is the best thing to have, but it's not overly necessary. I was still sticking with the Mythalar set, so I'll potentially think towards switching this one, but I don't know yet. We shall see. Depends where the prices settle. I personally would not pay more than 2 million. Ultimately, this is good news again for consumers who want that Mastercraft gear. You can see all of the gear in the collections in the North Dark Reaches section here. You have the gear you can purchase, and in the Menzer Brands and Masterwork accessories, you can see the rings you can purchase, and also the neck and waist pieces here. And then there are also the weapons that I believe you can see just here. Yes, the weapons are good for supports and I would highly recommend them. The perfect Lolth weapons are just better for damage dealers. The amount of stats they give, the bonus damage, and even the added survivability when you drain your stamina. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Don't go buying anything Mastercraft related unless you know it's not going to revolve around the soul beads. There are of course a few items here that don't need soul beads, so just be aware of that. Their prices will not really change. Like if you wanted this crit strike ring here, it needed 3 soul beads, so its price will go down by at least a half. Same with the healer ring, you needed 2 soul beads. And then all the weapons as well need so many soul beads. The sashes were generally on the cheaper side, they didn't need them. And yeah, those of you who are into Mastercrafting will really know how this affects the market, and you'll just have to play your cards wisely. Hopefully you aren't hitting too much of a loss based on what you may have saved up or gambled on selling in the long run. But I would say for the player base as a whole, this is a good thing. You will probably end up getting even more sales because the prices will be more accessible versus if they're super high, then just less people are likely to even buy them. So a special thank you again to these channel members for their added support, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.